Hey everyone, I'm Aurora. Thanks for joining me for this Yoga for Core Strength class. Today's class is all about our hips. Now, some of you may be wondering, what do our hips have to do with our core? And as you might have heard me say, the core really is connected to so many things, specifically our hips. When we don't have a strong core, our joints can get there can be a lot of pressure on our joints, and it can really cause issues in this area. So today's class, we're going to do some core strengthening, and then we're also going to get into some poses that will bring some hip flexibility and mobility to the table. So let's get started. Come to your mat in a comfortable seated position. Lower, close your eyes, roll your shoulders back, sit up nice and tall and straight. Take a deep breath in through your nose and exhale out your mouth. And just ground down for a moment here. Turning your focus inward. Noticing how you're showing up today. Another deep breath through your nose. And exhale. Flutter your eyes open. And then bring your right fingertips to the right of your mat, just grazing the floor. And lift your left arm up to the sky, bringing your left bicep to your cheekbone. Just lengthening the side body, lengthening the obliques in through the shoulder. Exhale, bring your left fingertips to the ground beside you and inhale your right arm up, bringing your right bicep to your cheekbone. This whole time, keep your spine nice and straight. Exhale, release down. Inhale, reach both arms up to the sky. And then exhale, bring your right hand to your left thigh and your left hand behind you for a seated simple twist. Inhale, bring both arms to the sky. And exhale to the opposite side. And back to center. Walk your hands forward and come into tabletop position. In tabletop, we bring our wrists directly underneath our shoulders, our knees directly underneath our hips. Spread your fingertips wide. Take a deep breath in through your nose. And then exhale. And on your next breath, I want you to pay close attention to your exhale. So take a deep breath in. And on your controlled exhale, notice the natural tightening of your abdominal area, kind of a pulling in. We really want to concentrate on that and engage our core. I refer to this as root lock sometimes. So let's take a deep breath in and then exhale. And as you take your exhale, consciously pull your navel towards your spine and find that core engagement. Good. Let's do this one more time. Inhale. And then on the exhale, pull the navel to the spine. And at the same time, lift up on your pelvic floor. So you're lifting up on the pelvic floor and back on the navel. And that is our root lock. If this is new to you, it may be hard to keep the engagement or even feel the engagement right now. But I want you to continue to try to re-engage your core throughout this practice. I'll give you a lot of reminders. And after time and practice, you'll start to feel that engagement more and it'll become easier and easier. All right. take a deep inhale, this time dropping your belly down, lifting the sit bones up and looking up slightly. And then exhale, tuck the chin to the chest, round the back. Inhale, drop the belly down, fill up. This is cow pose. Exhale for cat pose. Take cat-cow 2 more times. Going at your own pace, your own breath. And come back to tabletop. Take a deep breath in. We're going to find that core engagement. Lift up on the pelvic floor and pull the navel to the spine. And then as you have that core engagement, lift your right knee up just a few inches off the ground and drop it down. Find your core engagement and lift the left knee up just a few inches. Your hips are just tilting slightly. And release. Come back to the other side. This time lift the right knee up and then lift the knee all the way up so that it's even with your hips. Keep the core engagement. Make sure that you're not dumping into your pelvic floor here. Hold it for a moment and then release down. Float the left knee up. Keep that core engaged and then lift the left knee so that it's parallel with your hip. And release down. Tuck your toes, lift your hips to the sky and come into downward facing dog. Bending your knees quite a bit in this pose and just kind of walking your feet out, noticing what you feel. Maybe you adjust this pose by walking your hands forward a little bit. We're going for a nice straight line between our wrists and our hips. So I would rather you be like this with your knees bent quite a bit than like this, than like a rainbow. Like rainbows, but not in this pose. Good. Walk your feet towards your hands. Rise up slowly halfway and then take opposite hands to opposite elbows. Ragdoll pose. Just rock side to side here. Noticing any tightness. And then release and roll all the way up to standing. Take a deep breath in and out. Now heel toe your feet out slightly wider than your mat. I'm just going to turn to face you. And then you're going to turn your toes so that they're at a 45-degree angle. Your heels are in. We're going to inhale our arms up to the sky. And then exhale, bring our hands to prayer. On the exhale, find that core engagement. Engage the pelvic floor. And then with control, start to bend your knees and lower down. Now you don't have to come all the way down here. You can just go slowly for a minute. And then inhale, rise back up, all the way to standing. Good. Exhale, find the core engagement, engage the pelvic floor, lower down, maybe going a little lower than you just went, and then rise up. Lower down, and rise up. Good. This time when you lower down, pause at a point that you're able to hold. So you don't want to be so far down that you really feel a strain here. Good. And then take your hands and you're just going to place them on your thighs. And we're going to let our right shoulder come forward and feel this amazing hip opener on the right hip area. And then come back to center and let your left shoulder come forward. Really feel it in the inner thigh and groin area. And bring it back. Bring your hands to prayer, rise back up. Get a little leg action in there too, right? This time, bring your feet so that they're parallel to each other. So just take your heels out. Reach your arms out to opposite sides. Squeeze the front of the legs. Engage the core and pelvic floor and start to swan dive forward, keeping a nice straight spine. When you start to feel a stretch, pause there and just take opposite elbows and hang out here for a minute. And this might feel really good or it might feel like a lot. Just kind of ease into it, finding the right point with your body. Maybe your hands come down to the mat and that feels good. Maybe you want to come up a little bit out of this so that you can enjoy the stretch. Wherever you are, just take a deep breath into it and out. And then rise up. Step your feet back to the center of your mat. Inhale your arms to the sky. And then exhale, fold all the way forward. Let's take a halfway lift. Inhaling, bringing our fingertips to our shins, flattening our back. And then exhale, plant your hands to the mat. Step your left foot back so that your right leg is forward. And then drop your left knee down. Untuck the toe and rise up, bringing your hands to the top of your right thigh. Now from here, I really want you to pay attention to your pelvic tilt. Maybe you're a little open in your hips, right? And you have to straighten those hips out. Maybe you need to tilt your pelvis just a little bit inwards so that you can really feel that in the hip flexor. From here, once you have that hip alignment, then you can start to lean into that right leg. And you'll notice the stretch in the hip flexor really increases when this happens. Now you can keep your hands here. If you already have open hips and you're not feeling anything, bring your hands to the inside of your right foot. You should start to feel it. Maybe you even come down to your forearms. I'm super tight today, so I'm staying up here. Keep breathing into this. Beautiful. Now straighten the right leg. Bring your hands to either side of your leg and lift your right toes up to straighten this leg. You're coming into half Hanuman. Really flex your foot here. And then windshield wiper your toes to the right and to the left. Noticing what you feel in your hamstring, your outer hip, and wherever you feel tightness, pause there for a moment. You might feel this in the IT band. Breathe into it, don't hold your breath, take a deep breath in. Beautiful. And then rebend the knee. Walk your hands forward, tuck your back toe. We're gonna lift that back knee up. Step the front foot back, hold in high plank for just a moment, and then we're gonna step our left foot forward and drop our right knee down. You with me? We're just on the other side. Yep, perfect. Bring your hands to your right thigh, and we're going to do the same thing here. Adjust those hips so that they're facing forward. They're nice and in line. We have a tendency to keep them open, just usually because that's easier for us to do. Notice the pelvic tilt. Adjust for that. And then once you have those adjustments, you decide where you're going to go with this. You can lean into that front leg a little bit more. You can bring your hands to the inside of your left foot, maybe even down to your forearms. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. Keep that core engagement. Keep coming back to it. I try to remind you throughout class, because we should be reminding ourselves not only throughout this practice, but throughout the day to keep that core and pelvic floor working. Good. Straighten the left leg, lift your toes up, and then bring your hands to the outside of your leg. Make adjustments as needed. If you need to use 2 blocks to help keep yourself elevated, that's perfectly fine too. Everybody's different and every side of your body is different. So if you're tighter on this side, it's normal. And then windshield wiper your toes. Noticing any areas of tightness. Holding those in that spot for another breath. And then coming forward, releasing. Plant your hands in your mat, tuck your back toe, lift that back foot, step back to high plank position. Hold it here for just a moment. Take a breath here if you can. And then drop your knees down. Transition into a seated pose. Keeping the knees bent, take a deep inhale. Exhale. Find your core engagement. Lift on the pelvic floor. Bring your hands behind your thighs and gently lean your spine back. Rise back up. So you're using your hands as hooks here to help support you. But as you lean back, you're really engaging those core muscles. So make sure if you're working on strengthening your muscles that you're using your arms to help. If you've been working with me for a while, you can always reach your arms out and rely on the core muscles, but start here. Rise back up. Start to lower down, and this time, lower all the way to the mat. Good. Release. Bring your heels in slightly. Plant your feet through the mat. And imagine that you have a marble on your belly button and you're balancing it there. So you want to have a nice flat spine. Notice how my spine is slightly curved and there's a gap here. When I adjust my pelvic tilt, my lower back flattens to the mat. So this is your starting point. Engage the core and pelvic floor and then lift the hips up. Hold here for a moment. And then lower down. Inhale, lift up, imagining that marble rolling to your sternum as you lift the hips to the sky, and then lower down. And we're going to continue to move this way. moving with control, lifting and lowering the hips. Really working on strengthening the core area, the glutes. Good, let's do this one more time. And then pause. I'm going to add a little bit something to this. We're going to extend our right leg and bring our right ankle over our left thigh. Plant your hands beside you, palms down. Now we're going to do the same thing. We're going to lift our hips up slowly with control. And you might notice when you do this, you feel a big stretch through here. Lower down. Lift and lower. Now, don't push into this. If this is too much on your hip, just, lift slightly. Don't push through this because it's really getting into some spaces in the hip that you might not be using too often. One last time. Beautiful. Plant the right foot down and bring the left foot to your left thigh. Same thing on this side. Lift the hips to the sky. Really feel it in the glutes too, right? So this is kind of everything rolled into one. I love glute bridges. They tone your butt, they get your core strong and tight, and when we do this variation, you get a really amazing hip opener as well. So awesome drill to incorporate into your regular routine. One more time. Beautiful. Release down. Pull both knees in. Lift your feet to the sky. Grab for the inside of your feet and pull the tops of your thighs towards the mat. Coming into happy baby. Just rock it out here. You can try extending one leg and then the other. And then release. Plant your left foot, bring your right foot up again. I promise we're not going to do another glute bridge. We're going to float our left leg up and come into a figure four, threading our hands behind the thigh here. This is a really beautiful hip opener. We're going to take just a little bit more time in this. So as we're holding this pose, just start to bring your awareness to your breath. Slowing your inhales and exhales. Imagining with every breath, your body is loosening a little more. Beautiful, and release. And switch sides. Bringing your left heel to your right thigh and floating the right leg up. Thread your hands behind the thigh and gently pull the right leg towards you. Deepening your inhales and exhales. Pull both knees in, gently squeezing them towards you. Take a deep inhale through your nose. And exhale, float your arms and legs to the mat. Come into your final Savasana. Just letting your body relax completely. Just finding a few moments of calm and peace. Taking a moment to notice how different your body feels after even this short practice. Just a little bit of time makes such a difference. On your next inhale, reach your arms above you. Roll onto your side body. And keeping your eyes lowered or closed, come to a comfortable seated position. We'll take one last breath together. Inhale, reach your arms up to the sky. And exhale, hands to prayer and heart center. Take a moment here to find gratitude for something in your day today. Find gratitude, show yourself gratitude for showing up and doing something good for your body and your mind. Thank you all so much for joining me. The light in me sees, honors, and loves the light in you. I hope to see you next week. Have a wonderful evening. If you have any questions about any of the poses or anything I talked about in class, don't hesitate to message me or comment below. Thanks you so much, everyone.